Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today, as the thumbnail and title suggests, wanted to offer what I feel like in talking to so many people, as well as from living abroad, is a silver lining or maybe some positivity of what's happening specifically in Portugal with some of the immigration reforms and changes and just someone that's lived there over the last 5 to 6 years has seen a great deal of change if you're a foreigner, an immigrant from outside the country. And I think that it's difficult for people that are going through this right now and having to deal with the stress of residence visas and renewals and the property prices and you name it. There's a myriad of things that kind of have been building in Portugal, almost like I'll say a perfect storm, for lack of a better cliche or term. But I think for everyone that's considering a move and people that have been in Portugal, what's going on is positive in a few ways because it does test your level of commitment, whether you are, how in are you on Portugal or not. And some people that I've talked to and have emailed, it's kind of a quid pro quo that if Portugal was more into them helping with residency and stuff, they'd feel a little more amenable to stay. So they want kind of a better relationship with I'll say the government, I guess, more than anything else. But it does test your stress for many people that have moved. The Portugal that they moved to, some of the things may be different, and then that rolls off your shoulder and you're okay with the changes, or you're going, I want to try something different based upon where things are. And it's also, a silver lining too is I think it's fair to say that many people that have made videos, myself included, so I'm part of the bunch, that have done articles, set up businesses to promote Portugal. Thankfully, some of the changes have kind of shone a bright light on the exploitation of the country or the opportunistic nature, I guess, of people. So there are people that moved to the country because maybe it was one of the many countries they were considering, but because it was marketed as the best and the brightest or the most of something, that's why people moved. And it's good that some of this stuff is going on because as people are considering a move, they're staying or they're just initially thinking about moving away from their home country and they don't know where they want to move to. Just what's going on, I think, is helpful to kind of shed light and kind of peel back the curtain on when a country becomes the country that shows up on a lot of magazine covers, on your social media feeds, that you have to question, okay, why is it being marketed so heavily? And, it's usually the thing is, if it's too good to be true, it is, as this is the case. But I think it helps people to be a little more level-headed and less gung-ho about, we're just going to jump in the deep end and see what happens. Be smarter about making a very big and huge life decision, especially when most of you, like myself, are a little older and you don't want as many bumps and bruises and obstacles and stress later in life. Maybe some of you do, but I think most of us don't. But I think the biggest point and the biggest silver lining or the positivity that comes out of the mess that people are experiencing right now is this can happen and will other places. And what I don't know of is if you have lived in other countries that have gone through this same cycle of too many immigrants to the country that's caused, whether it be housing, all kinds of issues, and then the bureaucracy falls apart and then people go someplace else. What I'm curious about is, a long time ago, when I say a long time ago, 10 plus years ago, Panama showed up when you looked at social media feeds as like a big place to retire. If there's anybody that's lived in Panama or whatnot, did they kind of have this type of moment too, where just too many people and they had to reform things? Or are there other countries out there that I don't know about where the exact thing has kind of happened to them, and then they changed laws and how things were done so that less people would go there. Just think Portugal is the next in line, but it is, as I've mentioned recently, a great case study to be able to make sure if you're going to leave Portugal that the grass isn't necessarily going to be greener someplace else. It's going to be different. And that's the biggest thing to keep in mind here is as you move to other places, gosh, anywhere from 1 to 200 people this year alone have reached out and stated that they've already moved someplace else or they've left Portugal and they're in the process of getting to the next country. And I've asked all of them, where are they going? And there's like 20 different countries involved that they're moving to. And, what are the pros and cons? Just don't give me the pros. There's got to be some downside to be able to move. You're getting maybe easier residency and less bureaucracy than, let's say, Portugal, but there's got to be trade-offs. And I think that's something that I want to leave people with, that as you are looking for maybe a solution or your next destination, keep in mind that, you know this, but sometimes your emotion gets in the way, like it did for us sometimes too, is that you're thinking about, all the positives and I'm not going to deal with the negatives, or the negatives aren't going to impact me or the cons won't. Well, for many, they have in Portugal. They're going to in other countries too, and I am curious because I'm trying to keep tabs of where people are going and then watching videos, since most of my videos lately have been Portugal the last couple of years. About 30% of my overall videos were travel related, travel tips here and there, advice based upon our trips. And I'm curious to see, as I see new places pop up as the next trendy spot to move to and retire to, if in 10 years those countries, some of them have the same issues, or if the countries learn from, I'll say, some of the missteps or maybe some of the things that might have been done differently in Portugal, if they'll learn from Portugal to try to make sure that they don't end up in the same situation where rents, property goes through the ceiling. Certain areas there's an imbalance of immigrant to local population, and then the bureaucracy of just getting residency and permanent residency, citizenship, you name it. It's curious because I think as the future goes, there's going to be less probably talk about Portugal and be more talk about these other countries. And I'm curious to see what will be their Achilles heel. Will it be the bureaucracy of the residency, or will there be something else that will be, the next trendy country becomes, overly populated and people go someplace else. Please comment below if you've gone to other countries and you've experienced what Portugal's going through, because I think it'd be helpful for other people to hear. You're not alone. There's I went here and it was worse based upon how things panned out. I think getting that discussion going and seeing that in the comments, I think it would help viewers to know, new countries that they're getting into, pros and cons, or other countries that have gone through similar things as what Portugal's going through. As always, thank you so much for watching the channel and enjoy your travels.